Hello everyone, this is Caleb Simpson, and you are watching my 100% walkthrough for The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. So we've just completed the Skyview Temple, and as you exit you'll meet up with Machi the Kikwi, who basically, serves the purpose of, Toad in the Mario series, where he's like, "Sorry Mario, it looks like our princess is in another castle." Quite literally is what he says. But anyways, that doesn't really tell us where to go. Our next objective is to head back to Skyloft because we got the Ruby Tablet at the end of the Skyview Temple. That allows us to open up a new area of the sky. So, head back to Skyloft and re-enter the statue of the goddess to place the Ruby Tablet in the statue. It is actually sort of interesting because in some ways we kind of did the same thing with the wing ceremony. We got that little statuette for the wing ceremony, and then Zelda put it in the statue too, so I wonder if that was foreshadowing of us putting the tablets in there. But just a quick note before you get too far, one of the things we're going to need here pretty soon for an upcoming side quest is actually a bottle of mushroom spores. Now, not to be confused with glittering mushroom spores, which I also have used in the previous video too. We need regular mushroom spores, which is what you get from just any old mushroom in Faron at all. And technically there is some mushrooms up here on the sky on various islands too, but so we need to slash our sword on a mushroom, and then you can scoop it up with a bottle and get regular mushroom spores. So because we're going to get that, we actually will get it throughout the side quest too, although it will save a step if you get it early. So one of the things you could do is you could re-enter Skyview Temple and just slash the first mushroom you see and then scoop up a bottle of it, because you probably have an empty bottle now from fighting Girahim anyway, so anyways, if you fill up a bottle with mushroom spores, you will save yourself a little bit of time. It's not really a big deal though, so don't worry about it too much if you don't do it. Next, we're heading on over to Pumpkin Landing, and along the way you can dive from really high, and you can hit these little squirrel things to get extra rupees if you've managed to hit them all. I actually didn't manage to, I missed the last one in this recording before I hit the ground. But anyways, our goal is to get to the chest that is on top of the awning, and this goddess chest is from the goddess cube that we got at the end of Skyview Temple. Now, if you didn't get that goddess cube, you can either go back through Skyview, otherwise we're actually going to return there at some point in the game, so you can wait and just get it then, so don't worry about it too much. So what I like to do is I land on the roof and then scooch over and get on top of the awning here to open the chest. And one quick note about that is you want to make sure that you only open this chest if you have enough room in your wallet. Now, defaultly your wallet only has 300 rupees as a total limit that you can carry, but I've been purchasing extra wallets from Beetle's Airshop, which increased my limit by 600, so I can hold a total of 900 rupees, so I have more than enough space for this. But anyways, just be warned that if you're close to whatever your rupee limit currently is, let's say you only bought one extra wallet, so your rupee limit is actually just 600 total, then you want to make sure that if you're at 450 or whatever, then that means you would be wasting some potential rupees if you opened that chest at that point. So just be aware of that only open that chest if you have enough space. So you could always save that chest for later if you have more rupees than that, you know? I've been kind of going out of my way to get rupees though, so I probably have more than most people, although I'm also being efficient with my traveling, so if you're wandering around a little bit more and getting more treasure or whatever, then maybe you would have more rupees than I do. So with that in hand, you want to go ahead and go back to Skyloft, enter the statue of the goddess, and inside, I think they call it the Chamber of the Sword, you want to go ahead and place the Ruby Tablet on the altar at the end.
Mother have such wonderful sword. It's so much sword classes.
Alright, at this point we're continuing on towards Eldin. Before you go though, the thing that you really want to do is you need to head to the bazaar to buy a different shield, because our wooden shield will burn up there because it's filled with fire and lava and stuff like that. So our wooden shield will not last, so we need to go to the bazaar and get a metal shield. Along the way though, you will get stopped by this woman out here who's named Rhina, and she is concerned because her daughter has gone missing. Now earlier in the game you could have technically actually seen Kukiel out in town, and I actually mentioned it, and I think even in the first video, or maybe the second video. Regardless, we saw Kukiel there, and she was still just chilling in town. I think it's very interesting. And then the next day you can see Rhina looking for her as well, but now that a couple days have passed, she's getting more concerned. At this point, the game forces you to accept the quest. She'll just keep repeating herself if you keep saying no, so instead you have to say yes, and when you finally agree to do her quest, she'll finally leave you alone and you can continue on with your adventure. You can ask people around town, and they'll actually give you some tips on where to find the girl as well. But anyways, this optional side quest, what it leads to eventually is it leads to a bunch of wallet upgrades, it leads to some rupees, an item that will increase the rate that you find treasure. It also leads to a bottle, and I think the bottle is very useful. Oh, it also has a piece of heart too. Anyways, I think the bottle is super useful, and it's actually pretty early on. I'm going to get it here very shortly, so if you don't want to do all the optional stuff and you're kind of just worried about the main, you just want to do the main quest, you don't really want to deal with any side questy stuff, I would recommend that you do the side quest up until you get to the point where you get the bottle at least, because that would be really handy for you. Also, those early wallet upgrades will at least give you a little bit of capacity so you don't run out of rupee space, you know? At this point, continuing on with main storyline stuff, one of the next things that you really are going to want is an Iron Shield. So you want to go to Rupin in the Bazaar, and he has 2 new items for you, actually. He has the Iron Shield, which will just block fire attacks and stuff because it won't burn up in fire and lava, which we are going to a fire area here, so that's going to be a very handy thing to have. Unfortunately, though, he will only allow you to buy this if you have room in your pouch currently. So if you don't have space, you might have to go put things in the item check so that you can have the space for that. I always forget that, and I always try to buy stuff from him first, and then I end up having to go to the item check. So just something to be aware of. It's really cheap, though. It's only 100 rupees, which is really easy. So go ahead and purchase that, and what you're going to have to do is pull it up with the minus button and swap out your items so that you're selecting that one. So Rupin also mentions that you can increase the durability of your shield by upgrading it over with Gondo and the scrap shop. So we'll actually look at that here in just a moment, although we can't actually upgrade our shield right now. You want to hold down the minus button and select the iron shield to equip that instead. And we do want to get rid of the bandage shield because it's taking up inventory space, but I'll show how to do that in just a moment. Now, one optional item you can get is the small seed satchel. This also only costs 100 rupees. This is more optional. You don't really need this. In fact, as soon as we enter Eldin, there's a Goddess Cubis right at the entrance, and it leads to a free small seed satchel. So we're actually going to get a free one of these here in the next few minutes, actually. So you can buy this if you want to. The only reason I'm doing it is because I have extra rupees, so you can do it if you want to. Not super important. And one quick weird note about that is you can actually have a whole bunch of those types of items, the capacity items. You can keep buying them from his shop. It's not like he has a limit, I believe. I think you can even purchase as many as you want. You could fill up your entire inventory here in the item check. Speaking of the item check, you want to go speak with Peatrice, and you can move items around. I'd recommend you put the wooden shield, or in this case, the bandage shield, because I have it upgraded. You want to put that in the bank, basically. And one of the things that you can do is you can actually move items around. I do like to put all of my bottles together. It just makes them like easier to access, or like they're always in the same area, so I don't have to like look across the way. So I have them all lined up. So because I have the most slots in the top, that's where I'm putting them at the moment. So next we're going to head over to Gondo, and he will allow you to upgrade your items if you have the correct amount of rupees and the correct amount of treasure. So the treasure is more so usually the bottleneck for that. The amount of rupees you have to pay is usually pretty small. So you can upgrade a couple things here. Basically just a small seed satchel is pretty much the only thing you possibly would have the treasure for. I'm currently missing some monster claws and ornamental skulls. Ornamental skulls you get from Bokoblins, and then monster claws are usually from like keys. I think that's pretty much it for now. I think that's kind of the only enemy right now that you can fight that will drop those. There's a couple other enemies later on in the game, but we haven't met them yet. Anyway, if you had hunted around a little bit more, you could have upgraded your small seed satchel if you wanted. That's totally optional though, so it's very low priority on the list. So that concludes all the main quest stuff that we had to do right now. It's just putting the ruby tablet in the statue of the goddess and getting the iron shield. So with that, we have everything we need to head to Eldin. So if you want to just hop off one of the docks and then fly over there, then you can just continue on with the main quest. Otherwise, you can hang out with me for the remainder of this video as well as the next one, where I'm going to complete a bunch of optional side quests. Okay, so now we're going to complete the side quest to find Kukio, who that mother that was outside of the statue of the goddess was pulled us aside and asked us to go find her. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually run around and see some rumors. Now this part's optional. You can optionally speak with Oriel just outside the residential area of Skyloft, and she has a chat bubble above her head. And she says that she's heard rumors that there's a monster in town that that possibly kidnapped Kukio. So she's like not sure what to think about that. She thinks the whole thing's bogus. But if you say that you believe the rumor, then she'll get a little bit more serious and say that you should speak with Rusta over at the Lumpy Pumpkin. And again, you don't have to talk with Oriel or Rusta, so if you already know what to do, you can actually skip these steps. I'm just going to show them real quick. So I'm actually going to fast forward to this next section of me just walking over there. I think I bonk into some Gwei along the way, so I get a little bit of rupees from that, but other than that, there's nothing else interesting to point out. I'm just showing this just to show the dialogue real quick, but you don't have to speak with them at all. I actually did speak with Rusta when we were here earlier in the walkthrough, and he just made some vague comments about the rumors that he was talking about. But now that we are at this point in the side quest, he will actually go into more detail. So he explains that he saw a demon at night, and it smacked the nearest gravestone next to a tree. There's a bunch of gravestones in the graveyard. The one that's closest to the tree, the demon went and smacked it, and it started glowing. He pushed it, and it caused a door to open, and then he closed the door behind himself, which was really odd. Anyways, but he was terrified out of his mind. It's horrible. Oh my goodness. So you can go find the demon and see if this is true. Now, one other comment he makes is that it only happens at night. So we're going to have to make it night first, hit the gravestone nearest the tree, and we can continue onwards. That's that's all we had to do here. From now on, for the next little while anyways, for this side quest, you can actually speak with Auriel next to the residential district, just like we did earlier, and she'll actually just give you a summary of the tips that we got from Rusta. So you don't have to fly all the way back to Pumpkin Landing if you need a refresher on what you're supposed to do with the gravestones. You can just talk with Auriel and she'll give you all those same tips, which is really cool. Just pretty convenient, that way you don't have to come all the way back here in case you forget that information. But yeah, speaking with both Auriel and Rusta is totally optional for the side quest. You don't actually have to do it, but that's how you acquire those clues. So at this point, we just need to make it night, and how you do this is you sleep in any bed, anywhere in town, basically. Just about every house has a bed you can sleep in. I actually am not sure that there's any single house. There might be one house or something where you can't actually sleep in the bed. And sometimes they have multiple beds and one of them's taken up and the other one is free, but pretty much just any house at all you can sleep in, and all the characters usually are even standing around, even at night. In this particular case, this house belongs to Melara and Pipit, so Melara being his mother, and Pipit is usually patrolling around the Knights Academy at night to keep remnants and stuff away. Speaking of remnants, I always kind of wondered what happened with Mia at night, because Horwell is watching her and keeping her in his room, and he has all those cat toys, whatever, in there. So I always just kind of wondered whatever happened with Mia at night. So head to the graveyard, which is in the southeast corner of town, and then you want to smack the grave that is closest to the tree. And you can do this by either using your sword or rolling into it. And I guess those are the two things I've ever tried. One thing I'm not sure about is if this works with your slingshot and the beetle or whatever and other items. If somebody could let me know in the comments, that'd be very helpful. I guess I never considered it before. Anyways, once you do this, the grave will start glowing. You want to push the grave or pull it from behind, and then this will open the nearby storage shed door. Go inside and either head down the ladder or just fall down and then brace your fall with B to deploy the sailcloth. Then follow the path and you'll find a house at the end. And as soon as you get close, you'll hear a scream. So go ahead and enter to find out what's going on. At this point, you can optionally speak with Kukiel, although she doesn't seem to be upset in any way, but you want to use your sword or one of your B-button items on the demon to progress the story. Place your webcam in this area. It is. Close enough. Like this. kill, right? So obnoxious. Hey, the game told me to, guys. I didn't have a choice. Okay, wait. Tim called the hero for a substitute. Wait, type join in the call. Do it! Somebody type join. What does this mean? Is this somebody else? Wait, what? What is going on? It's watching my chat, apparently. I wonder if there's commands you can do. Oh, wait. Is the new hero of the kingdom. Sweet. And you don't have burns. Okay, sweet. Oh. Haha. Oh, sweet. That's cool. Oh, that's so awesome. Say something else.